So we've been working on finding ways to summarize our data, all right? And that's what the basis of the tables are. And in doing that, it helps us make sense of this larger body of data. We're putting in ways that it's more manageable to look at and to study and to make sense of. Well, tables are one way to do that. Another way is to create graphs, right, depicting the data. You need the table in order to generate the graph. Then when you go to report it in a paper, you can decide whether the table or the figure does a better job depicting the information that you try and convey. Okay? Tables are especially useful when you have a whole lot of data that you can't easily visualize, and a whole lot of data that you really don't want to write about. All right? You don't want to write every little statistic in there. Take the demographics table here. This is simple data. We just have gender and we just have age. Right? So we could very easily create a graph of some type that depicts that. But if we also had socioeconomic status and we had race and I don't know whether they took ADD medication or not, the more factors we were recording, the harder it becomes to show it visually. And so just simply telling people to refer to table 1 in order to see how your population is distributed across age and all the different factors that you measured is the best way to do it. All right, and if someone's really interested in, they can go look at the table and make sense of all that data. When we keep things relatively simple like this, oftentimes it's the graph that is the better way to depict things. But let's see that. Let's kind of walk through making a graph, and then we'll compare the graph to the table. So first thing we want to do then is make a what's called a histogram. Histogram is a particular type of graph that is used to show a distribution within a population or within a sample. Okay? And we could do separate histograms for male and female, but because we're comparing those two groups, I'm going to keep them in one graph. So what I'm going to do is highlight the information that I want to graph, and that's male, female, and their number that are at each age group. To find the graphs, you go to the Insert tab, and in the middle of the ribbon, you'll find Charts. Okay? And you can see there's a variety of charts that are that you can just click on. Okay? Bar. These kind of show in proportion. We can do lines. And we do have one for histogram. Okay? And it will even kind of give us trend lines and stuff like that. But you can see it's not a true histogram. And also under here is the box and whiskers, which isn't apparent until you click on there. But not everyone may have this on their version of Excel. These are newer things that they've offered. And what I want to do is show you how to create a histogram from a bar graph, because a histogram is a type of bar graph. So let's click on here, and we want a 2D column. And when we do that, okay, we get a chart that looks like this. Okay. Now, what makes this different than a true histogram is that these aren't, there's too much space between all the bars. In a histogram, everything comes together. So we're going to change that. And we can change that by clicking on one of the bars. double clicking, and we get a formatting box on the right side. And if you look in there under where the bar icon is, we see series overlap and gap width. Series overlap will close the space or open the space between each bar within a point on the chart, right? And we don't really want that. We want them to be connected, and we can even have them overlap in some ways, which is not really what we want. So we get this down to 0, and I didn't demonstrate this in class just for time. Okay, those are connected now, and now we want to connect each of our intervals here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little bar and slide it over. Okay. Now we have a histogram because everything is touching itself. All right. Now one other thing I want to do is fix my x-axis, okay? And I can do that by going up here to my ribbon and selecting data. Okay. And this box comes up that allows me to edit what I already have or to add something to it. So maybe I add a third column, or here what we're going to do is edit the horizontal axis. So I'm going to hit edit. Okay. And what it does is it allows me to come over here, highlight what I want, how I want my x-axis labeled, hit OK, hit OK again, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. We can also come in, edit, and count where the bars fall on here. We don't have a female at 10, all right, at age 10. All right. But we have 3 there. And so we have gaps in here, but that's fine. This is what the data is. Okay. Now, before we fix this up just a little bit further, take a moment and just see which is the easiest way to convey the difference between our male and female groups. Is it by looking at the numbers in the chart, or is it simply looking at the graph itself? In some ways, that's a matter of personal preference. Right? You might just find it easier to put the table in, but always keep in mind your reader and what is going to be easiest for them. Okay? Now, I don't need the chart title, so I'm going to delete that. Oops, yep, that went away. What I do want to do is add a title to the x-axis. So I can come up to the upper left corner where it says Add Chart Element, click on that, and where it says Axis Titles, click on Primary, and 2 things come up. One is it's ready for you to type into the formula bar, but it also now activates it puts this little text box in here, and so you could highlight axis title and type in age. That's what our horizontal values are. Or you can just start typing age in the formula bar, and when you hit enter, it becomes age down there. Excel always gives you 2 ways to do things. And if we're going to use this in a paper, we would also want to get rid of the grid lines. and probably get rid of the legend, and we'll just put a note underneath the table indicating what everything is. And I'm going to move this to here. Okay. All right. So that's how to make a histogram from a bar graph in Excel. And I'll come back and we will make our other graphs in just a second.